What's up, YouTube? It's Coach Cory. Today, we are going to rank the best brawlers in Brawl Stars from best to worst. So, let's get into it. Alright everyone, now it's been a long time, I feel like, since I've done my last overall Brawler ranking video. Since my last one, we've had the two new Brawlers, Penny and Frank, and we've had some balance changes as well. We saw some of those guys who were really strong before got some nerfs. We also see some buffs to Brawlers like Poka, Shelley, and even Piper as well. So we definitely have a much different meta. But honestly, I feel like this is a really balanced meta. So this was probably one of my harder ranking videos to make, I feel like. So guys, let me know what you think of my rankings. And of course, as always, whenever I do overall ranking videos, it's combining how good a brawler is in all events combined. So just because a brawler is really good in one event isn't going to make them anywhere high in my ranking. You got to be good overall in multiple different events. So it's more of an overall ranking. All right, so let's get into it, and let's start out at the bottom of the ranking. So this is one of my least favorite brawlers, and I feel like the meta is not very good for him, and he's just honestly been underwhelming in a lot of different ways. And it's Bo. Bo just doesn't feel like he's that good in really anything except like Snake Prairie. And Sapphire Plains is now gone, so one of his best gem grab maps is off the board, and he's not one of the better gem carriers, so he's not very good in gem grab. He's just okay in bounty, except for on those few maps where his star power is really useful. He's not good in heist. He's not good in Brawl Ball. He's not good in Showdown or Duo Showdown. Bo is just not good at a lot of things. All right, at 20, we have a new brawler, the big boy Frank. Frank is also not very good in a lot of ways, but Frank is a really fun brawler to play, and he makes a lot of splashy plays, so he can seem really good, but honestly, a lot of the time he's either doing like no damage or a decent amount of damage, and it just fluctuates a lot in between, and a lot of times he's doing no damage. If you're facing a good team who knows to keep their distance from Frank, Frank is not able to do that much. And this meta has definitely a little bit of range, and he's also so weak to shotgunners. It makes him not good versus that much, honestly. And he doesn't deal enough damage unless he has his star power going. Takes him 3 hits at least to kill a lot of brawlers, and that's just too much. Everyone has run away by that point. If he gets a star, if he gets a super, he can get a kill, but otherwise he's just not dealing a lot of damage. And there's not any particular event where Frank is that good, so Frank is just, he needs some buffs, he needs a little bit of a rework, something, but Frank is not that good right now. All right, at 19, we have Auto Aim's favorite target, and that's Mortis. Mortis is not great in a lot of things. He's decent in Brawl Ball, don't get me wrong, and he can be okay in a lot of different areas, but he relies on his teammates a ton to be successful. And there's definitely a high skill gap with Mortis. If you're really good Mortis, there's definitely a big difference between that and a bad Mortis, unlike some other brawlers like Colt. So Mortis is just not strong in a lot of different ways. High skill gap. He really needs an auto aim nerf to become good again. All right, at 18, we have a brawler who actually got buffed recently, but let's be honest, it wasn't that much of a buff. And he wasn't that good, and that's El Primo. El Primo hasn't been good in a long time. He doesn't have any particular event where he's really good in. Maybe Brawl Ball's his best one, but you're seeing, like Shelley, his natural counter got some huge buffs recently, so all of a sudden, Mortis got really an indirect nerf more than a buff in anything in these recent balance changes. So he's still not very good in that much, and he's probably going to stay that way until he gets a really big buff. All right, at 17, we have a brawler who I like, but just is very game mode specific, and that's Pam. Pam was good in gem grab, probably the best overall gem carrier in gem grab, but everywhere else, Pam is just okay or not very good. At the least, there's always better option than Pam in every other game mode besides gem grab. So she's really a one-hit wonder gem grab in okay at best and everything else. All right, at 16, we have another one-hit wonder in more ways than one. She's really good at bounty. That's Piper, and she does a lot of one-hit kills. Yeah, not very good joke, but Piper, yeah, she's not that great in anything besides bounty. She did get a good buff recently, so she's maybe a little bit underrated, but she just doesn't fill other roles very well besides in bounty, where she dominates and is probably the best brawler, one of the best brawlers by far. But everywhere else, you'd probably rather have someone else. All right, at 15, I'm going to do 14 as well. These next two brawlers, the other tanks, Daryl and Bull, this is just not a very great meta for tanks, and they just haven't felt very strong. But those two are great in heist. They're definitely one of the best brawlers in heist, just because of how great their super is for heist as far as getting that damage on the enemy safe. Really good, and no one else is as good offensively as those two, probably. So they're definitely great in heist, but everywhere else, you'd probably, again, rather have somewhere else, and you're seeing that Shelley buff has impacted them a lot, making it hard for them to be impactful in other game modes. Just because there's all these other brawlers that counter tanks really well that are definitely either strong or pretty good right now. Honestly, I feel like this ranking video has a lot of pairs together. You're seeing Daryl and Bull together. They're a bit of a pair. And these next two are a pair as well. We got some more paired up brawlers as well. At 12 and 13. 13 we have Penny, and at 12 we have Jessie. Some call them cousins, some call them sisters. I don't know what they are, but they both have turrets, and they're both honestly really similar. Their shot does almost the same damage. They have a similar effect on their attack. One of them bounces, one of them just throws out coins like a freaking banker. But anyways, they're both just like sort of mediocre. They're both not great in anything, but they're both okay in a lot. So it's hard to underrate them totally, because it's not like they're bad brawlers, but they're also just not that great either. So that's why they're sort of in the middle of the ranking. They're kind of mediocre, but you can't underrate them, and you can definitely win with them. All right, now at 11, I feel like this is probably the last super underwhelming brawler. I feel like 11 through like 16, 17 were all brawlers who are like underwhelming, but not that bad, but also not that good. Well, 11 is Poka. Poka got some great buffs recently, and I had really high hopes for Poka. I thought he was going to be really good in a lot of different ways, especially in jump grab, but honestly, he's still like barely top 3 jump grab carrier. Jump carrier, even then, it's not even that true. It's definitely very map dependent and very, very team comp specific with Poco. So Poco is struggling a bit to find his place in the meta. He's a strong brawler, but he's not fitting very well in any particular game mode or any particular team comp. You can use him in Brawl Ball. You can use him in jump grab for sure. Those are probably his 2 best ones. You're not really going to use him in bounty. You're not really going to use him in heist for sure. You can use him in showdown. You can use him in duo showdown a little bit, but in both of those places, he's not amazing. So Poco, middle of the pack in a lot of ways. All right, and now at 10, I think you guys are going to be happy to see this brawler in his big decline, because he was strong for so long, and that's Crow. Crow, don't get me wrong, still a good brawler, but he's definitely a lot less OP than he was before. It takes him a lot longer to charge his super, which is huge, and he does less overall damage as well. So you're seeing just a lot of other brawlers able to put out a similar amount of damage or more. His poison is still a really good effect, and he can definitely be really useful in a lot of different situations, but especially with PM in the meta and gem grab, you're seeing Crow just not that great, and all of a sudden he's no longer getting those jumps that he was before. Before, he could take over those brawlers that he's had great matchups on because he could jump and kill them, but since he's getting less jumps, he's not getting those same amount of kills that he was before, and that's really big. That's why you're really seeing this big drop in Crow, is because his super takes longer to charge, not because he does less damage. That's definitely the biggest thing with Crow. He's overall pretty variable. He can be used in a lot of different game modes, but he's not one of the best brawlers in almost any game mode. But he is definitely decent in a lot of them. All right, now at number 9, we have a brawler who hasn't really gotten any buffs recently, but I just feel like this meta is better for her, not him, her. And that's Anita. Anita, I really like right now. She's in a really good place. She has a lot of health, and that's making her really hard to deal with. In Gem Grab, she's one of the best aggro brawlers right now. She's just able to do a lot of damage. She's really hard to get rid of. Shoot around corners, high health. She can be a problem for any team. She's also usable in a lot of other areas. She's not great maybe in anything else, but she's usable in Brawl Ball. You're seeing some people run Tara, Shelley, Anita combos. You can use her in Showdown. You can use her a tiny bit in Duo Showdown. Can't really use her in Heist. Can't really use her in Bounty. But I just feel like overall she's a much better brawler now than she was before. And not because she got any buffs, just because the meta is better for her, it seems like. I'm just really enjoying playing Anita, honestly. Alright, at 8 we have a brawler who's just honestly a little bit versatile. And that's Brock. Brock, really good in Bounty. And you're seeing him being usable in a lot of other places, even though maybe it's not a much bigger spike than it was before, but he's usable in Gem Grab. He's sort of usable in Brawl Ball. You can use him in Heist for sure. Showdown, you're definitely seeing him, but he's not amazing. Maybe Duo Showdown, he's actually able to be pretty good there. So you're seeing Brock in a couple other places. He's used in a lot of different areas. He's just very viable in a lot of different ways. That's why he's sort of in the middle of the pack, but just a little bit above average. All right, at 7, we have a brawler who hasn't got a nerf in a long time, and he's been good for a while, and that's Spike. Spike has felt maybe a little bit overshadowed recently by the throwers as they've gotten some buffs, sort of. But Spike, as another thrower, he's just good in a lot of different ways. He's definitely good in gem grab. He's usable in Brawl Ball, pretty good in Brawl Ball. Not usable in heist, not really. I mean, you could, but it's really not worth it. He's usable in Showdown, good in Duo Showdown. I don't know what I'm forgetting, but he's probably pretty good there too. So Spike definitely pretty decent in a lot of different areas, does good damage, and he's just been good for a long time too. How do you not like Spike? All right, now number 6, we have a brawler who's gotten a lot of buffs recently. And now that I'm thinking about this, even though she's number 6, I don't feel like she's really strong, but she's definitely much better than she was before, and that's Shelley. The one place I will say Shelley is really strong in is Brawl Ball. Brawl Ball is definitely Shelley's best event. Able to break down walls, great against Mortis, great against any sort of tanks. Basically, Shelley is one of the main reasons tanks aren't good right now, because she just destroys them with her added range. She's able to get her super even more, and if she's able to get that super more, like tank, I'm sorry, you have no chance once she has her super. Shelley is really good versus tanks when she has her super. Otherwise, it's definitely an even battle, but you're seeing Shelley in a lot of different places now. She's definitely become viable almost everywhere, and that's the main key, and that's why she's ranked this high, is because all of a sudden she's viable everywhere. That added range is definitely giving her a buff. She's nowhere close to being overpowered. I really like where she is, and I think she's pretty good right now. All right, at number 5, I think this brawler is, I think the top 5 we're getting into, not quite OP, but close range. At 5, we have Tar. Tar, really good in Brawl Ball. One of the best aggros in gem grab. Again, not that great in heist or bounty, but definitely not bad in Duo Showdown and in Showdown. So Tar, pretty good in a lot of different places. All of a sudden, she's really good in, well, she was always good in Brawl Ball, but now she's still in the meta in gem grab, so Tar is in a great place right now. She just has the ability to be game-changing, and her range has always been good at being able to build up her super no matter what the meta is. She can just always chip away at people, build up her super, and the one thing with Tar too is she doesn't have a particularly really bad matchup. So no matter what brawler she's really facing off against, Tar isn't going to fare that poorly, unlike some other brawlers. So Tar is very much in the meta right now. All right, now these 4 brawlers, these top 4, have received a various series of buffs and nerfs of people trying, of Supercell trying to get them out of the meta, except for one of them. But the rest of these guys have all gotten nerfs, and they're just too versatile. They're still at the top. They're still really good. At 4, we have Ricochet. Ricochet has received a series of nerfs recently, and he is just still really good and really usable. He's definitely been brought down to earth. He's no longer OP, I would say, but in gem grab, he's still one of the best brawlers in gem grab. If you have a Ricochet on your side, almost no matter what the map is, it's going to be really hard to win that side. You basically need your super. You need to get advantage. You need some help from your teammates. A Ricochet is just irreplaceable in gem grab. He's decent in heist. He's good in bounty. He's okay in Brawl Ball. He's okay in Showdown. He's really good in Duo Showdown. That map just really favors him. A lot of walls. Long range is good in Duo Showdown. I mean, Ricochet as that long range, high damage dealer is just so versatile. He can be used in pretty much every single game mode, no problem. So, I mean, I think the only way he's really going to get out of the meta if all of a sudden his damage just goes way down. Basically, you need to make it so he's not able to hit 3 or 4 shots fairly easily like he is right now. He's just so irreplaceable, and Ricochet is just still really good. All right, and this is where I said that there's some pairs, because at number 3, we have Colt. This is another pair, and also I guess 5 and 6 were a bit of a pair too. Tar and Shelley pretty similar. Colt and Ricochet also really similar. Again, as I was saying, long range damage dealers just impossible, really hard to replace. Colt, really good in heist, okay in jump grab, really good in Brawl Ball, really good in Duo Showdown, okay in Showdown, and good, decent in bounty. So Colt, again, he's just really good, decent in a lot of different areas, so versatile. He's just, who are you going to replace him with? Ricochet? Yeah, probably. Otherwise, Brock? Not really. It's not the same. All right, these top 2, if you haven't guessed it, we got some pairs, and these are the throwers. At number 2, we have Barley. At number 1, we have Dynamite. I think you could have switched these, but I definitely think Dynamite is actually better than Barley right now. Maybe in Gem Grab, Barley has the advantage over Dynamite, but everywhere else, I'm pretty much giving it to Dynamite. I think Dynamite is just a little bit better, that ability to deal a little bit more damage. just makes him good. But both of these guys, throwers, are very, very much in the meta right now. In Showdown, in Duo Showdown, even in Brawl Ball, you can still use throwers. Maybe Bounty, not so much. But Gem Grab, for sure. In Heist, for sure. You can definitely use a thrower, even though they're maybe not as strong as they were before, but they're still very much usable. A little bit map dependent too. Maybe not Kaboom Canyon. But otherwise, throwers are just so versatile in every single game mode. Barley got some buffs recently, so he's definitely much harder to deal with. He's just so great at area control. And Dynamite, I mean, if you have his super, you auto-aim his super, you never miss. Basically, it's just so strong, and he gets 2/3 of his super back every single time he hits with his super. He's just able to deal so much damage throughout the course of a game. He can easily be game-changing. Dynamite, so strong. Barley, also really strong. Both of these guys are on top of the meta, and they're the best brawlers in Brawl Stars right now. Alright guys, that's it for my ranking video, but let me know, what do you think of my ranks? What ones would you do differently? But that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you later.